Aloha, this is Santa surfing. Welcome to Beach Broadcast. Today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Boy, I sure hope you had a beautiful weekend, Memorial weekend. A couple of announcements. Our new phone number to order ivermectin is 888-749-0261. That's 888-749-0261. And our show is sponsored by Goldco. Goldco is a precious metals IRA. We started working with them for almost on 3 years now. April of 2022, gold was at 1763. Well, it's actually about, I think, 17, yeah, close enough. And then it soared. It's like gone almost double, but it's hovering right around 3,400, 3,300 as of Monday, May 26th. So contact Goldco by going to santasurfinglikesgold.com. Imagine if you had your 401k or your retirement account, a part of it, a little bit of it, or all of it into Goldco, how your portfolio would look today. This podcast is on all we needed is a new president. All we needed is President Trump to come back in the public eye, a president with a backbone, he's not afraid to do anything, who's got courage and bold and blunt, doesn't care what anybody thinks, he's got to get things done. President Trump and J.D. Vance and Pete Hegseth, they all were there to honor our fallen heroes on Memorial Day. Last week was the first week President Trump returned from his Middle East trip, where he was so honored, so respected from the people, the royal families and the media there. And then he comes back to America and he's got the trashy fake news media asking the dumb questions again, not really caring about all of the great things President Trump is doing. So I kind of took a little break from last week because I was just, and then I thought, okay, now this week is going back to a good start again. But Tom Homan, he makes this remark about, AOC. Check this out.
Well, remember, just a couple weeks ago, AOC went on social media saying if we put a finger on any of her co-workers, Congress people that were at our Newark facility, there'd be consequences. Well, guess what? We did it. I'm waiting on the consequences.
I love Tom Homan. He is just like, he does not hold back. He just gets things done. I just want to kind of cover some highlights because there's a lot that's going on. And so people are saying, when is anything going to happen? It's already happening. But let me just kind of give you a little reminder on some of the things. Now, this is Bo Hines, if you're wondering who he is. He is let me just go ahead and move this over a little bit. Here, Bo Hines. He's the Executive Director, President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets. Listen to what he's talking
about. Bitcoin is truly the golden standard. And that's why we say Bitcoin is digital gold. We make no bones about that. And I've said repeatedly, as the United States, we want as much of it as we can possibly get. That's why we created the SBR in the way that we've done. We recognized it for being unique. Obviously, it's a commodity, not a security. Has intrinsic stored value. As David likes to say, it has the immaculate conception, right? This is an asset that we should be harnessing on behalf of the American people, and we're working diligently as a working group to figure out those budget-neutral ways in which we can accumulate more. And I always tell journalists that ask me all the time, how much do you want? Again, I'll say repeatedly here today, that's a very silly question. We want as much as we can possibly get, and I'll say it ad nauseum the rest of the time that I'm here. But, I think that we showed that we recognized that for being unique in the way that we set up the Strategic Bitcoin Reserve, we have the Digital Assets National Stockpile, which is different. And in this SBR, we said two things. One, we want to accumulate more, and two, we're not going to sell any Bitcoin that we possibly have in U.S. government, period.
I was taking a little bit of a break from how the media was treating Trump last week. And I was doing a lot of research and a lot of digging. I want to get into this kind of podcast it has to be at a different time. But President Trump through Il Donato posted, we're taking over crypto. Oh, this is getting really big and really juicy, and it really ties in with a lot of research I did last week. Oh my gosh. So Sammy's asking, President Trump, tell us about the very first day when you came back in office on January 20th of 2025. So I'm going to give you a quick recap of all the things that are going on in Canada. And our show is sponsored by Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is a paid sponsor. They've been a sponsor of ours for 4 years, which is fantastic. Why? Because it works. It's a non-drowsy solution for your pain, and it sometimes even can heal your tendons as well. So it's my little friend. I have to say that, my little friend. So contact Pain Absolve by going to painabsolverxpill.com. And for a limited time, they are offering, if you order a combo package, they are giving a bottle for free. That's a $40 to $50 value. Plus, they are offering for any order, a single bottle order or multiple or a combo bottle, they are offering this little Trump solar bobblehead. It's only until supplies last. So it starts out with today on the 28th actually the 27th, that King Charles, he sits at the old throne and he's giving a speech. And what he says in this speech, I'm going to play it for you in just a moment, but he actually says, he's admitting that Canada is terra nullius, which means nobody's land. Check this out and then listen to the digs afterwards. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
I would like to acknowledge that we are gathered on the unceded territory of the Algonquin and Anishinaabe people. This land acknowledgement is a recognition of shared history as a nation, while continuing to deepen my own understanding. It is my great hope that in each of your communities and collectively as a country, a path is found toward truth and reconciliation in both word and deed.
Interesting timing, because SG Anon posted this. Canadian Gmail users are reporting that Google is changing the country associated with the email address. There's an actual email that says, "Hi Raven, we wanted to let you know that we're changing the country associated with your Google account from Canada to the United States." Now, on March 21st, 2025, President Trump truthed, "I love King Charles. Sounds good to me." And it has an article link that says, it's from The Sun, and it's the Trump card. King Charles to make secret offer to Donald Trump during state visit after Starmer hand-delivered a letter from the king. Again, you decide, but I'm going to kind of tie this into some posts by President Trump. This article continues to say plans are allegedly in the works to make USA the next associate member of the Commonwealth, the international association, which currently boasts about 56 states. Well, after that announcement by King Charles, let's say 55 states, could welcome the U.S. as a new member. In February, a tariff war began between U.S. and Canada, with Trump signing orders to impose a near universal tariffs on goods from Canada entering the United States. Now, the President Trump revealed Canada would avoid higher taxes if it joined the United States of America as its 51st state. Canada, of which the king is the head of state, is part of the Commonwealth of Nations, and including America may dampen the current conflict. Suggestions for the U.S. to join the Commonwealth were first made during Trump's first stint in the White House by Royal Commonwealth RCS Society with the blessing of Queen Elizabeth. Now, in his second term of office, the proposal has been brought back, with members of the society crossing their fingers for the king to extend an invitation to Trump upon their next meeting. Let me just toggle up here a little bit. The first letter was delivered by Nigel Farage, and then that was back in 2017. Now I'm going to go down here. And then President Trump made his visit to the UK, where they acquiesced. Now, President Trump vowed to always stand with the Brit troops and gave the Prime Minister a boost by appearing to back his controversial Cagos deal. Now, if the U.S. is invited to join the Commonwealth, it is hoped to be a step towards bringing countries together around shared values of like democracy, human rights, and the rule of law. Remember, back in February 27th of 2025, President Trump, he truthed this through his El Donato account. The Prime Minister came to check with the real king.
President Trump, can you get a peace deal done in Ukraine? How confident are you, sir?
And remember, it is forbidden for anyone except for a king to touch the crown prince of Saudi Arabia. And this is what President Trump through Il Donato posted on March 22nd, 2024. And President Trump, on May 27th, 2025, he posted this on Truth. I told Canada, which very much wants to be a part of our fabulous Golden Dome system, that it will cost $61 billion if they remain a separate but unequal nation, but will cost $0 if they become our cherished 51st state. They are considering the offer. President Trump and his administration, they're all celebrating the countdown to America's 250th anniversary, which began on Monday, the 26th, on Memorial Day 2025. According to whitehouse.gov website, under President's leadership, the Salute to America 250 Task Force, Task 250, has commenced the planning of a full year of festivities to officially launch on Memorial Day 2025 and continue through July 4th of 2026. So we can expect a lot of celebrations. We know on President Trump's birthday, on June 14th, he's going to have a very patriotic birthday with a parade, honoring the military. He absolutely loves our military. Scott Bessent, the Secretary Treasurer, he is talking and has been talking about the one big beautiful bill to get passed. Now, so why I bring this up at this time is because we've got a lot of different moving parts, but let me have you listen to this clip.
So, I would encourage our colleagues in the Senate to push for the July date that leaders think.
April 11th, 2025, Crossfire Hurricane documents were dropped. Crickets from the media, crickets from the fake news, worse than fake news. They didn't say anything. They released over 700 pages of unredacted files about Crossfire Hurricane. This was a big spy campaign, even worse, with Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and all their cronies and the dirty top brass FBI, et cetera, and the DNC. And they used it to spy on Trump as a candidate. And then when he came into office, did anything happen to them? No. So that's what's coming up. And on March 18th, the JFK files were released. We have Anna Luna. She announced that upcoming hearings for the JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King, 9/11, and COVID origins, along with UAP, she confirmed that we, the people, will get all those files. And remember, earlier this year, Pete Hegseth, he went and visited Gitmo. All of the Doge findings about the fraud is starting to come out as well.
Yeah, and so it was by far the least peaceful agency that we've worked with, ironically.
Of course.
Additionally, we found that they were spending money on things like private jets, and they even had a $130,000 contract with a former member of the Taliban. This is real. We don't encounter that at most agencies.
Yeah.
What was the money going to the Taliban for?
So it was a contractor. They received $130,000 for generic services. And to Elon's point, there was not actually a clear description of what the contractor services were for. But
was it for opium?
Unclear.
Or weapons?
Or nothing.
Or nothing.
or abroad.
Or, nothing.
And you naturally have to ask the question, how did we get here? Like, when the country was founded, there were only 4 agencies. Today, there are over 400. So there's been a 100x increase in the number of agencies since the founding of the nation. And thanks to President Trump, he's now signed 2 executive orders to start to reduce the number of agencies in the government, and the Institute of Peace was one of them, which is why our team went in to try and understand what was going on. And that's when we found all of the craziness, like the weapons in their armory. We found the payments to the Taliban.
Okay.
The Institute of Peace was resisting an investigation, but they're also getting paid $55 million a year in addition to that $130,000 contract to that contractor. Think about this. Congress approves payments to terrorists. Bottom line is that. Okay, nothing. Again, crickets from the fake news media. They don't want to talk about this. So Doge is going after that. And then We know how the judges are getting in the way from what President Trump, his administration, along with Doge, is trying to do to go ahead and take down all the dirty government. Well, finally, Judge grants Doge staffers access to the Treasury data. Again, once you nuke where the money comes from, how they're getting funded, how everything is done with all of their financial shenanigans, if you will, and illegal interest rates, illegal everything that they do from the Treasury, or excuse me, I should say from the Federal Reserve. Once they can get to the bottom of that, it is going to clean the slate for what is going to come. Auto pen gate is also very active at the same time. So all of these things are active. Nothing's happened. Yes, we've got the Diddy case. We've got the Epstein list as well. Many of you want to see that. I mainly want to go ahead and just really start looking forward to the progress. But yes, this is important to do. In terms of this particular report, this just came out. So this is David Sachs, and he was on Jesse Waters' show, and he is part of the Trump administration, and he alleges that, well, that Pocahontas has controlled Joe Biden's auto pen.
This is the financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it, it wasn't Biden. Elizabeth Warren controlled the auto pen during that administration. She, for some reason, has this pathological hatred of the crypto community. She wants to drive this community offshore. She doesn't want it happening in the United States. That's the wrong policy for the United States. We want all the innovation happening here. This is a financial system of the future. It's cheaper. It's more efficient. We want it happening here, Jesse, and I think people are thrilled that President Trump is making that possible. This is the financial system of the future, Jesse, and we have to encourage it. What the Biden administration was doing, and let's face it, it wasn't Biden. Elizabeth Warren controlled the auto pen.
Bill Gates Elon Musk is definitely keeping an eye out on Bill Gates, the non-doctor that did horrible things to humanity. So on May 8th said Gates is a huge liar. Tim Burchett said this earlier this month.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett returning from a oversight committee. We were talking about the John F. Kennedy, President Kennedy's assassination in 1963. Just some incredible testimony from the attending physician in the emergency room. And he told us the way the bullets entered, where they came from, and they came from two dadgum different directions. And there were 4 bullets fired. It was just incredible. Anyway, big cover up, of course. Will we get to the bottom of it? Probably not. You always got a patsy, and it's obviously Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy. He might have pulled the trigger on one of the bullets, but they don't think on all 3, and that would have been a bolt action, which is a Mannlicher carbine. It's an Italian carbine. I got one somewhere.
Has anyone ever done the JFK tour? I did recently. This was one of the signs, and on the bottom, right here towards the bottom, it says, last paragraph, this is on the formerly the Texas School Book Depository building, but on November 22nd, 1963, the building gained national notoriety when Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly, now it was scratched out. I didn't do that. That was scratched out already. Allegedly shot and killed President John F. Kennedy from a 6th floor window as the presidential motorcade passed the site. I find that very interesting. It is on a historical site, and Comey is under investigation. That was as of February 26, 2025. Again, the media's crickets. Probably the reason why he posted this 2 months into the investigation, 3 months into the investigation. He posted the seashell post of wanting to do really bad things to President Trump. And again, we know that the real big name people have already been dealt with, but this is all about the normies having to wake up. And remember this post from back on May 1st of 2025, President Trump, he's really going after the Democrats. The Democrats are really out of control is how he starts this truth post. And then he ends it with, perhaps we should start playing this game on them and expel Democrats for the many crimes that they have committed. And these are real crimes. Even goes after Adam Schiff and May 1st. And then President Trump, he truthed this on May 27th. Other than the rigged presidential election of 2020, see, the 2020 election isn't over, by the way, but back to the Post. The biggest scandal in American history is the auto pen. Whoever used it was usurping the power of the presidency, and it should be very easy to find who that person or persons is. They did things that a Joe Biden of sound mind would never have done, like open borders, transgender for everyone, men and women's sports, and far more. Fear not. However, we will bring America back bigger, better, and stronger than ever before. So you're wondering when? Let me just add one more. DOJ, the U.S. DOJ Service Temporary Organization, terminates on July 4th of 2026. So you know there's going to be a lot of big surprises. We got a lot of moving parts going on right now. But when is this supposed to all happen? And well, Q already told us about the time frame. And I'm going to close with this. I'm going to close with a video right up here that is part of this Q post, Q3387. Listen very carefully again. I'll wrap up the conversation, this podcast, with that video. Note past 2 years, and this was on July 9th of 2019. The past 2 years, which is when President Trump's term was in play. Note next 6 years. You were told what was going to happen. You were told what battles we face, strategic, pre-planned, patriots in control, Q, and that is exactly the plan we've got. It seems like everything that is happening now, definitely Q has already warned us about it, and we have a lot of proofs about Q on the mark with things that you have been sharing for years. And now it's finally come to fruition. So is it going to take the next few weeks, the next few months, and then at the same time when we have justice things happening, we also have great things happening, and just to be prepared for the next few weeks ahead, because it certainly looks like we got a lot of, with the one big beautiful bill, that is the end of the Dem Party. My opinion only, you decide. But I'm going to close with that video. It is the video on how President Trump got elected, and he covers everything. And in my humble opinion, these are the events that will start to unfold. Have a beautiful day. Thanks so much for waiting for this podcast. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful, blessed day, and I will have a show very, very soon. Aloha.
Our movement is about replacing a failed and corrupt political establishment with a new government controlled by you, the American people. The Washington establishment and the financial and media corporations that fund it exist for only one reason: to protect and enrich itself. The establishment has trillions of dollars at stake in this election. For those who control the levers of power in Washington and for the global special interest, they partner with these people that don't have your good in mind. Our campaign represents a true existential threat like they haven't seen before. This is not simply another 4-year election. This is a crossroads in the history of our civilization that will determine whether or not we, the people, reclaim control over our government. The political establishment that is trying to stop us is the same group responsible for our disastrous trade deals, massive illegal immigration, and economic and foreign policies that have bled our country dry. The political establishment has brought about the destruction of our factories and our jobs as they flee to Mexico, China, and other countries all around the world. It's a global power structure that is responsible for the economic decisions that have robbed our working class, stripped our country of its wealth, and put that money into the pockets of a handful of large corporations and political entities. This is a struggle for the survival of our nation, and this will be our last chance to save it. This election will determine whether we're a free nation or whether we have only the illusion of democracy, but are in fact controlled by a small handful of global special interests rigging the system, and our system is rigged. This is reality. You know it, they know it, I know it, and pretty much The whole world knows it. The Clinton machine is at the center of this power structure. We've seen this firsthand in the WikiLeaks documents, in which Hillary Clinton meets in secret with international banks to plot the destruction of U.S. sovereignty in order to enrich these global financial powers, her special interest friends, and her donors. Honestly, she should be locked up. The most powerful weapon deployed by the Clintons is the corporate media, the press. Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves. Anyone who challenges their control is deemed a sexist, a racist, a xenophobe. They will lie, and then again, they will do worse than that. They will do whatever is necessary. The Clintons are criminals, remember that. This is well documented, and the establishment that protects them has engaged in a massive cover-up of widespread criminal activity at the State Department and the Clinton Foundation in order to keep the Clintons in power. They knew they would throw every lie they could at me and my family and my loved ones. They knew they would stop at nothing to try to stop me. Nevertheless, I take all of these slings and arrows gladly for you. I take them for our movement so that we can have our country back. I knew this day would arrive. It's only a question of when. And I knew the American people would rise above it and vote for the future they deserve. The only thing that can stop this corrupt machine is you. The only force strong enough to save our country is us. The only people brave enough to vote out this corrupt establishment is you, the American people. Our great civilization has come upon a moment of reckoning. I didn't need to do this, folks, believe me. I built a great company, and I had a wonderful life. I could have enjoyed the fruits and benefit of years of successful business deals and businesses for myself and my family, instead of going through this absolute horror show of lies, deceptions, malicious attacks. Who would have thought? I'm doing it because this country has given me so much, and I feel so strongly that it's my turn to give back to the country that I love. I'm doing this for the people and for the movement, and we will take back this country for you, and we will make America great again.